groups that they're projecting that we were victorious, even though they weren't. And there is a narrative for the outside world. Oh yeah, we want to escalate. But in reality, when you listen to the narrative inside, they do want to escalate, but in a longer term course. They don't want the retaliation from Israel. They know they would be hit really badly if they back conflict. So in their interest, the best way is just drag this off and then save their own faces, because if they didn't do anything in response to this attack that happened to the consulate, they would have lost all the legitimacy and the faces they created. Oh, we're going to go against this. So they needed to do something, and the proxy wasn't enough in that instance. It would have been much better for them if that 10 to 15% that they wanted to hit the targets in Israel would have done it. But in a larger scale of things, for them, I think they're creating alternative narratives enough around it that satisfies their supporters inside Iran, and at the same time send a message to the people outside that we are pro-Palestinians, so join us, and at the same time to the governments outside that we're gonna go full on if you don't stop Israel. And I think that's a kind of a win situation for them, although everyone is seeing behind the curtains and understand it was a failure, the attack itself.
Nagin, we've run out of time, but I just want to end the interview by saying I really hope you'll come back very, very soon to talk to us again. Thank you so much. There are reports that Israel's considering delaying its planned ground invasion of Rafah. This is Gaza's southernmost city, next to the border with Egypt. It's the Israeli army itself that previously confirmed Rafah to be a safe zone for Palestinian civilians. But it's now a giant tent city with more than 1.6 million internally displaced people taking shelter there. They've been there for months, having fled Israeli attacks elsewhere in Israel. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he announced a date had been set for a military ground invasion of Rafah. He never said what the date was. Israel believes Rafah is the last bastion of Hamas that must be attacked to achieve its total victory over the group. The grand of the Hamas leader has succumbed to injuries she sustained during an Israeli strike, killed other family members on the first day of Eid al-Fitr. The attack targeted a refugee camp. It's now taken the lives of 3 of Ismail Haniyeh's sons, 4 of his grandchildren. He actually lost 60 of his relatives in the 6-month-old conflict, including 14 who died on the very same day in October during an attack on a family home in Gaza. Israel, of course, continues to kill civilians in the enclave. At least 3 have been killed in a home in the Nusayrat refugee camp. It's been hit by an airstrike. This is on Sunday. Crowds of people were trying to return to northern Gaza when they came under attack. Hundreds were on the road when the Israeli army struck, killing at least 5 Palestinians and injuring many more. Let's go to Gaza and speak to Ashraf Shannon. Ashraf, what have the past few hours?
Well, at dawn, the Israeli attacks against the Gaza Strip did not stop since the early hours of this morning, mainly on the Nusayrat refugee camp and also other areas including Maghazi, Barej, central Gaza, as well as areas northeast of the Gaza Strip, like Beit Hanun. Heavy artillery fire by Israeli forces. This while hundreds of people, again for the second day in a row, are attempting to return back to the northern parts of the Gaza Strip through the bridge on northwest of central Gaza, a small bridge over the Gaza Valley, or the Gaza Wadi. And again, they were fired upon by Israeli forces. Some people were injured. Yesterday, 5 people were killed by Israeli forces as they tried to make their way to the northern parts of the Gaza Strip. One of those who were injured yesterday, a little girl, succumbed to her wounds and died today. The humanitarian situation, overall the situation in the Gaza Strip and in Rafah is beyond horrible. Amid under the watchful eye of the international community at that.
Just very quickly, Ashraf, if you don't mind, is there any evidence for what John Kirby has said just in the past few hours? He's, of course, the White House national security spokesperson. He says aid to Gaza has increased dramatically over the past few days.
Well, that's definitely not true. I mean, maybe from the point of view or the standards of the Israeli government or the Israeli military, as far as Palestinians are concerned, whether here in Raqqa or
clear
anywhere
amount
else,
of
they get slight improvement, not because of more aid coming in, but in other words, it's because of better organization from local aid agencies and also from those delivering the aid to those who need it in Gaza. But Israel says 300, 400, 500 trucks daily, but most of these trucks are half empty. And essential things like medical supplies, surgical supplies are not coming in. Most of the trucks carry mineral water, mattresses, and some tents and some canned food.
Ashraf Shannon, thank you, Ashraf. Stay safe. One Palestinian has been killed, 2 others injured by gunfire. Military raid in the occupied West Bank city of Nablus. Israeli special forces have also stormed the Al-Manaj neighborhood of Nablus. Since the weekend, the West Bank has witnessed some of its most violent scenes in the past 6 months.
Incident in which Israeli forces re-raid the city of Nablus again. This time they surrounded a building. According to sources over there, they were calling upon a name of a wanted Palestinian to surrender.
हाँ
रिचार्ज
कौन सा
19
है
1 GB डाटा
कौन सा सिम कौन सा पूछा तो 1 GB बोलता 1 GB बोला तो कौन सा पूछता कुछ
रिचार्ज
भी
पूछा तो सिम होना चाहिए आपको
सिम बोलना चाहिए ना बिन सिम फर्स्ट वही बोलना
It's looking a bit better, but the annual rate of inflation is shocking. 290%, the very worst anywhere in the world. Ghana has reached an agreement with the IMF on an extended credit facility. It's seeking to exit the economic crisis. Accra is going to get about 360.
Lights, sirens, and at times dull explosions. Iran orchestrated a systematic and prolonged attack. More than 300 missiles and drones were launched towards Israeli territory.
In addition to the launches from Iran, a number of launches took place from the territory of Iraq and Yemen. Not one of them penetrated the territory of the State of Israel.
Israel says 99% was shut down. US, British, and French military assets assisted in Israel's defense.
Israel withstood this attack that involved hundreds of missiles and drones. The defense forces blocked this attack in the most impressive way, together with our partners, the Americans, and others.
One Israeli military facility was hit, but officials say the damage was minor. There are no reported deaths, but a young girl was injured. In the past, Iran has relied on its proxies to attack Israel. This is the first time it's launched a direct strike.
The entire world saw tonight who Iran is, a country of terror that attacks Israel from 1,500 kilometers away.
But the barrage didn't come totally out of the blue. Iran had warned of retaliation for a strike on consulate buildings in Syria at the start of the month. And on Friday,
Kitna?
US President
40.
Joe Biden even warned of an imminent attack. He cut short a weekend trip to Delaware and rushed back to the White House. US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin insisted America doesn't want conflict with Iran, but reiterated its support for Israel. In condemning the attacks, the United Nations Secretary General said he was deeply alarmed at the risk of a devastating region-wide escalation. Israel reopened its airport early on Sunday morning, but several international airlines have cancelled flights to the region, fearing further trouble. For its part, Iran says its operation is over for now.
There is no intention to continue this operation. But if Israel takes any action against the Islamic Republic of Iran, either on our soil or in the centers belonging to us in Syria or elsewhere, our next operation will be much bigger than this.
The stability of the region is now largely reliant on the level of response. Melinda Nusafora, TRT World.
Get the party started in 10 minutes. Get balloons in 10 minutes on Swiggy Instamart.
New video released by Israel.
Guard, train and arm a diverse array of armed groups in the Middle East. Its missile arsenal has grown over the years. Its longest range cruise missile, the Kayaba Shaket, has a range of 1,300 kilometers. Iran's suicide drone, the Shahed, has been battle tested extensively by the Russians in the Ukraine war and has been used by Iranian-backed groups to attack US military personnel. The transfer of Iran's missile know-how and components have enabled aligned groups like the Houthis to launch anti-ship projectiles in the Red Sea and to target the Israeli port of Eilat. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran's most sophisticated and well-armed regional partner, has accumulated a missile arsenal that can reach most Israeli major cities in the case of an all-out war.
United States condemns in the strongest terms the unprecedented attack on the State of Israel by the Islamic Republic of Iran and its militant proxies and partners.
Japan is deeply concerned about the attack by Iran against Israel using numerous drones and missiles.
France condemns in the strongest terms the unprecedented attack that was launched by Iran against Israel yesterday, and which threatens to destabilize the region.
The United Kingdom condemns unequivocally Iran's reckless attack against Israel.
On the 1st of April, Iran's diplomatic premises in Syria were targeted in an airstrike, resulting in multiple casualties on the Iranian side and serious damage to the said premises. This incident was a serious violation of the UN Charter and international law, as it violated both the sovereignty of Syria and that of Iran.
We note the signal sent by Tehran that they do not seek a further military escalation against Israel. And we urge West Jerusalem to follow suit and reject the practice of provocative use of force in the Middle East. What our region witnessed yesterday is a natural and inevitable outcome of repeated aggressions and grave violations of international law and the United Nations Charter perpetrated by the Israeli occupation authorities on the territories of my country, Syria, and other countries.
We have warned against the aftermath of not putting an end to this arrogance and behavior of the Israeli occupation in the region, and we have always emphasized that this could bring the whole region into conflict. And today you can see that our point of view was correct and our warning was honest.
The United States condemns in the strongest terms the unprecedented attack on the State of Israel by the Islamic Republic of Iran and its militant proxies and partners. Iran's intent was to cause significant damage and death in Israel. It launched over 300 munitions, including more than 100 ballistic missiles and land attack cruise missiles at Israel. Iran's reckless actions not only posed a threat to populations in Israel, but also to other UN member states in the region, including Jordan and Iraq. The Security Council has an obligation to not let Iran's actions go unanswered. Indeed, for far too long, Iran has flagrantly violated its international legal obligations, notably through the actions of its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC.
Japan is deeply concerned about the attack by Iran
ನಂಬರ್ ಹಾಕ್ರಿ
against Israel using numerous drones and missiles,
ಫೋನ್ ಪೇ ನಂಬರ್
which put huge population in real danger and could further aggravate the current turmoil in the Middle East. Japan strongly condemns such an escalation. We are seriously concerned that this large military action will increase the already extremely heightened tensions in the Middle East and lead to a wider and more serious regional confrontation with global security and economic ramifications. It is imperative for the Security Council to address this matter as a united body responsible for international peace and security to continue this region. Japan has been strongly.
ये है इंडिया के पुराने इन्वेस्टिंग की दुनिया, पर अब इन्वेस्टिंग को
बंगाल से नहीं, उड़ीसा, आंध्र प्रदेश, तेलंगाना, तमिलनाडु, केरल तक जाएं, पूरे एरिया में भी
ಏನಾಯ್ತು ರೀ
worst displacement crisis globally continues and the world looks the other way. Brenda Radino, TRT World.
Wale Ojawale joins us. He is the ENACT Program's Regional Organised Crime Observatory Coordinator for Central Africa, this at the Institute for Security Studies. Wale, thank you so much indeed for your time. Is it too simple, or is it actually the case that if these two generals, Hamdan and Dagalo, didn't exist, maybe this would never have happened? Is it about the ambitions of just two men?
Definitely it can be reduced to that, because what is at the heart of what is going on in Sudan is the contestation over supremacy.
This is from the president of the medical charity Doctors Without Borders. He says the level of international neglect is shocking. The UN says it needs $2.7 billion just this year to get food and healthcare and other supplies to 24 million people. So 2.7 billion the UN needs. So far, it's received 145 million. It seems the world just doesn't care.
That is the reality, and I think we are very fortunate to have the Sudan crisis in the midst of the global turmoil that is going on now. Naturally, issues in Africa are often relegated to the back seat. But when you look at the conglomeration of what is going on in Ukraine, in Israel, war with Hamas, and then a whole lot of conflict all over the places, this is not something that the world is really prioritizing now. And I think the Sudan crisis is just like the case of forgotten conflicts now. And that is the reason why only 5% of the entire estimate has been mobilized to help the people who are in need in Sudan. Coupled with the fact that mobilization in Africa is very, very poor. Countries that are supposed to come to their aid are also battling with one thing or the other. Ethiopia to one hand, Egypt to the other hand, and it appears like African Union is not doing enough.
It occurs to me that there are some similarities between what's been happening, especially in Darfur, and the Rapid Support Forces and the allegations of war crimes that they're committing there. That it's similar to what was happening in Libya a few years ago. That there are militia committing war crimes, let's say allegedly committing war crimes, which actually makes it more difficult to find peace, because those individual militias and their members, they may not want to lay down their weapons thinking that once there is peace, we're going to be prosecuted.
Surely that is one thing, and I think issue of amnesty for them has not really been discussed. Maybe people are just trying to scratch the surface and quickly see how they can get some form of peace, at least to be able to now dig deeper into the issues that you raised. And coupled with the fact that at the heart of what is going on in Sudan is also contestation over resource control. As long as they have access to the gold, as long as they have access to these resources, they will want to prolong the crisis and continue to mine these resources without any form of accountability to continue to also finance their reign of violence.
Wale, what do you see as the biggest regional dangers of what's happening in Sudan?
I think the number one thing, apart from even looking at the regional implication, is to look at how the country continues to burn on, and nobody's really saying anything from regional community or AU is mobilizing sufficient power and negotiation to be able to drive peace. But when you look at this, I think it's putting the entire region in a serious state of conflict. It's unstable. We share boundary with South Sudan. South Sudan
हाँ पता है ठंडी है फोन आपकी पता है मुझे पता है नहीं मुझे पता है मेरे इससे ज़्यादा कंफ्यूज है छोड़ो तो आईफोन का वार्निंग दे पता है आईफोन थोड़ा हीट हो गया नहीं चलेगा बोल के बंद हो गया आईफोन मेरा भी ऑटोमेटिक बंद हो गया ये वाला हॉटस्पॉट ज़्यादा हीट हो गया हॉटस्पॉट नहीं फोन इन कर दिया पूरा पता है खबर डाले हुए तो पानी येते ऐसे मैं तो पानी खाली करू शकतो
नहीं उतरी डाल दूं मैं उतरी डाल नहीं मुझे यही चाहिए
ಹೇಳ್ರಿ
ಫೋನ್ ಇದೆ ಕಾರ್ಬನಲ್ಲಿ
ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಕವರ್ ಅವೆಯಾ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ವಿವೋ i20
ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಿ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಬನಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿಕ್ಕದಿದೆ ಆ ಥರ ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಇದಲ್ಲ
वो लाइट वाला कवर है क्या कवर के अंदर लाइट है
सुनामी है
लाइट आप एक डालो नहीं हो पड़ा रहता ना, पानी के साथ रहता है ना।
हाँ, आपको तैरना है क्या पानी में?
जैसा मांग रहा हूँ वो
नहीं है भाई।
इसका कवर है क्या?
पानी वाला कवर है।
अच्छा वाला
कहाँ पानी नहीं करता ना।
वो भाई
ऐसे छोटा है ना उनके बर्तन में।
200 दे दो, 200
वो दिखा रहा है ना वो
200
मेरे को दिया था कार्बन
क्या होगा
ऐसा वाला कुछ है।
कार्बन?
हाँ ऐसा वाला
क्या हो क्या हो?
ये क्या है साला वो बड़ा है ना वो बराबर नहीं कर रहे क्या करें।
रेडी करना हम रेडी करते सर्विस सेंटर चला जाता है वो आपका जो सर्विस है वो बंद खत्म हो जाएगा नहीं मिला लंका में लगे
इधर मिला किसी को पता इधर था पहले बंद हो गया पड़ा जाके
बंद हो गया
हाँ
किधर
किधर है किधर जाना पड़ेगा।
गया था एक 5 साल पहले।
ये साल का बात करो 5 साल का बात करो।
कितना महीना हो गया लेके जाए?
ये 2 महीना हो गया तीसरा मैच चालू हुआ पापा।
अभी क्या प्रॉब्लम क्या है?
सामने वाला का आवाज नहीं सुना रहा बराबर।
माइक
माइक
किसका?
का प्रॉब्लम सामने वाला का
उसका सुनाई दे रहा है क्या?
घर ऐसा कर रहा है। 5-10 मिनट के बाद करेगा ना चालू हो जाएगा घर में।
5-10 मिनट के बाद में वो नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम है इसका नहीं है
नहीं,
नहीं उसका सामने वाला का
अरे इतने दिन नहीं होगा अभी होने लगा अर्जेंट नहीं हो रहा। वो कौन सा डिटर्जेंट हाँ पतला वाला
वो चेंज करके दे दो, दूसरा कंपनी को कॉल करो, नया देता।
हाँ? क्या डिजाइन
वो पानी नहीं देता
थोड़ा थोड़ा क्या भी करो बट नया देता। ये ले लो पतला वाला, ये टेंशन नहीं, उधर जाने का नहीं, हमारा पास है। पकड़ो,
लोकल वाला मत दे दे।
हमारा पास वारंटी है, अच्छा है सच में, बेंगलुरु मेड है मेक लोकल वाला कस्टम नहीं जी। ये बोला तो अच्छा कंपनी का है, इधर ही करो, लोकल आइटम नहीं है, वारंटी वाला है। लोकल गलत ही है, ये
नहीं लोकल है वो गारंटी, ये ओरिजिनल है वो लोकल है, आदमी लोकल है।
हाँ, ये ले लो
ओरिजिनल है।
क्या पूरा वाईफाई बंद कर दिया
है?
वाईफाई बंद कर दिया
मेरा बंद है, तुम्हारा ऑन आया गया करके
नहीं
ऑफ
क्या?
है तुम्हारा
लाइव बंद है
नहीं ओपन।
इसका किसका शिकायत
कैसा कैसा
हाय
ये फ्रंट कैमरा कैसा आ गया जी?
फ्रंट कैमरा लगा हुआ है जी
मैं इस तरह लाइव भेज रहा था।
कार्बन म्यूजिक हो गया पतला वाला मुझे पहले सैमसंग कैसा था वैसा मुझे पतला वाला।
इसमें चार्ज रहता हूँ मेरा इतना
ये क्या दिखा रहे हैं
वो उसका मैं लाइव डाल रहा था ईरान का। बोलो जी, ये ले लो, 1 साल वारंटी गारंटी, तोड़ो फोड़ो लेके जाओ इधर ही, ये ले लो, ये ले लो, छोटा वाला बहुत अच्छा है, ये बहुत अच्छा है, छोड़ो छोड़ो जी,
कार्बन नहीं
छोड़ो जी, ये वाला देखो बोल रहा हूँ ना 100% कुछ भी हो गया तो वापस 100% रिप्लेसमेंट, नया पीस मिलता 100 दिन के अंदर, 3 महीने के अंदर खराब हो जाए 100 पीस नया पीस।
इसमें नहीं है।
ये ले जी,
अरे वो मत कर
अच्छा वाला है, गारंटी आइटम है, गारंटी।
सैमसंग जैसे आता है ना वो पहले ये जो
कौन सा जी? यही वाला है जी, कार्बन वाला ये है और ये है, दूसरा नहीं है।
ऐसे वाला मुझे ऐसे जो है
हाँ ये आता है, छोटा नहीं आता।
छोटा नहीं आता है।
ये ले ये गारंटी आइटम है।
3 महीने नहीं हुआ फिर लेके क्या करेंगे?
आप ये ले रहा करके वो ले रहा तो ये ले लो, मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, इधर ही आओ, दूसरी जगह नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं। जी यजमान, इधर ही सर्विस सेंटर नहीं, इधर ही सर्विस।
क्या ऐसे बोल के दे देगा फिर
ऐसा बोल के नहीं दिया, इसको मैं बोला सर्विस सेंटर।
हाँ
इसको मैं बोला सर्विस
जो जी इधर ही।
कितना इसका?
1300 हाँ 1300 ಇದೇ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬರುತ್ತ್ರಿ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ನಮ್ದೇ ಕಂಪನಿ, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕೊಡೋದು ಹಂಗೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕಂಪನಿ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರೋದು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಟಚ್ ಫೋನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 3 ತಿಂಗಳು ಹೊಡೆದೋದ್ರೆ ಮೊಬೈಲು ಹೊಸ ಪೀಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಕಂಪನಿ ಇದು, ಆ ಥರ ಕಂಪನಿ. ಹಾ ಇದು ಬೇಕಾ ಮೋಟ್ರೋನು? ನೋಡಿ ಇದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕಂಪನಿ, ಕೆಟ್ಟೇ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. 10,000 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಲಿ ಕೆಟ್ಟೋಗಲ್ಲ. ಏನು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಬರೀ ಸಿಮ್ ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು. ಸಿಮ್ ಮಾತ್ರ, ಬರೀ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಾತು. ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಯಮುನೆ ಸಾರಮ್ಮ